This is live from my office, the special baseball edition. I am wearing a cup, and so is my friend Mike Ferrin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not wearing a jock, just the cup.
Oh, just a cup.
It's good.
Red Solo?
I think, it's funny. Well, that sounds like the first Spinal Tap movie. I think the problem with wearing a cup without a jock is that really boxer briefs don't keep it in place very well.
Great point.
But
No,
the jocks are so uncomfortable.
What you just described is what kept me out of the pros. We had a moment, and as we record this, it is October 10th, and last night, our time, we had a moment which was reminiscent of every Little League nightmare in these baseball playoffs, when the totally forgiving Philadelphia Phillies fan base, already disappointed in their Phillies postseason performance, had an opportunity to even the series with the Dodgers and at least extend it to an extra inning and move on. Pick it up from there and explain what happened to Orion.
1-1 game, bottom of the 11th inning, second and third, 2 outs. Orion Kerkering, who is one of the better young relievers for the Phillies, comes in the game, walks Kike Hernandez on a full count pitch, and then gets the young center fielder Andy Pages to hit a broken bat comebacker to him. And he kind of whiffs on it. It bounces off his leg and bounces forward, right? Something you see happen to pitchers all the time. Well, in the moment, Kerkering said after the game, he was just thinking that the shortest throw was to go home because the bases were loaded. Even though Pages was twice as far from first base as the runner, Ah-Sung Kim, was coming home, he fired it home. He fired it all the way to the screen. Kim scores. The Dodgers win the game. And everybody on the Phillies field went into are you familiar with the surrender cobra? Hands behind the head. Oh no, that was.
If you're not watching on YouTube, put your hands behind your head.
Yeah,
lean forward and begin cursing.
It was an absolutely horrifying moment.
I felt terrible for him. Look, he's a big leaguer. He makes a lot of money. He's a professional. Things happen. But when you are traveling with 25 to 30 guys who are your closest guys, who are like your family, it starts in January and February, and it doesn't end until October, and you make the Little League error that ends everybody's season, that's a tough burden, man, and he's just a kid. I hope he's going to be all right.
So Rob Thompson, who's come under fire as the manager of the Phillies, in part because they just haven't gotten over the hump with him, and I don't think that's necessarily fair, I thought did something incredible last night in that the first thing he did was before Kerkering even got off the field, he grabbed him and was like, listen, it's okay. We do this as a team. The Phillies had missed opportunities offensively, right? This was the
it never comes down
play.
To the Little League play.
It's never the one play, right?
Yep.
But basically in that moment told him it's going to be okay. And I'm sure that was not consolation to Kerkering in the moment, nor was the dozens of teammates who consoled him after the game, or when he went to go sit on the bench at Dodger Stadium after everybody had cleared out. Kyle Schwarber, who's the best, went to sit with him and put his arm around him. Like, I'm sure none of that is comfort to Kerkering right now because he feels like he cost his team the season. But I thought that was real leadership from Rob Thompson. No doubt. Thompson, was asked about being on the hot seat last night after the game, and his reaction was, he goes, man, he's like, I'm not even worried about my job. He's like, there are 60 broken people in that room. And I only care about them. I don't matter. And I just thought that was real leadership.
It's a grown up.
And that, yeah. And he's this calm, cool, collected Canadian, which are probably not the C words that get thrown around in Philadelphia a whole lot.
Not as much as the other one.
Yeah, no. So that would be conspiracy, right? I just think it's it was a really human moment afterwards, and some really great examples of how you handle adversity from the guy that runs that clubhouse in Rob Thompson afterwards too. But I feel horrible for Kerkering. I don't know how you can feel anything other than empathy, even if you're a Phillies fan. Like, be empathetic and be pissed at the offense for not scoring in that series.
Yeah, if you're the Phillies fan that wants to choke him out at this point, go boo Santa Claus again. The kids are going through enough. I hope he can come back from it. He's a good talent and potential to be a great talent. And, but it's the mental game, man. It's just, it's in his head for the rest of his life. He thinks, turn around, throw it to first. And who's the catcher?
JT Realmuto
who is pointing to first, which, of course, is memed beyond belief around the globe within minutes of all this happening. So it's not like you can escape it. Scott Norwood goes wide right on a field goal that everybody could miss, and he doesn't get attached to a meme immediately.
Right.
Who is the Fab Five Michigan player who calls the timeout?
Chris Webber called the timeout. Yeah.
Chris Webber
the famous
calls
Chris
the timeout,
Webber. Yeah.
right? And that was all pre-internet/social media. So I don't know. I hope he's okay. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Good.
All right. So the Dodgers move on. Everybody else still trying to figure it out. The biggest surprise to me was because I'm in Chicago, your town as well. And the Cubs not only are still in it, they made it look easy last night in beating Milwaukee. So you got a Cubs Brewers thing 2-2. If you go down to 0-2, you tie it 2-2. All the pressure's on the team that was 2-0 up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, listen, I don't know that the Brewers play with a lot of pressure on them anyway. I mean, they're always
going to
be the underdog. What's that?
Drunk on the Miller, are they?
That's probably what it is. But yeah, no, it was nice though to see that the Cubs offense after got back from their 3-month sabbatical just in time, right?
Took a little time.
You got to start second quarter at Northwestern, I guess. So, yeah, I think that they're, listen, Milwaukee was the top seed this year, right? And they had the best record in baseball. And if they don't advance out of the division series, it's going to be a major disappointment, right? I mean, this is a team that has had some heartbreaking postseason losses, not the least of which was last year in the wild card round. They went to Game 7 of the LCS in 2018. They haven't been to a World Series since 1982. So, there's a lot that's kind of riding on this for a Milwaukee team that has had this just incredible summer. And I think that they're, I don't know that I give the Cubs, because they won 2 games in a row at Wrigley, an advantage going back to the American Family Insurance Field. I won't sing the name of it today. Well, maybe I will. American Family Insurance
Field. If you live in the Midwest, it's stuck in your head.
Yeah,
maybe not nationally as much, but it's stuck.
And
the only thing worse is 1-800-CARS for kids.
Yeah. Yeah, when I hear 1-800, I think Empire. But the fact is that the Brewers are a good team, and I'm a firm believer in one significant baseball truism, that momentum is only as good as your next day's starting pitcher, and that's in this case will probably be more of a bullpen game for them. But I think that's super important, is that if they come out and they pitch well and they shut down the Cubs offense, they're going to be fine. And I don't know that there's any more pressure on them than there is on the Cubs team that, had this incredible offense for half the season and then disappeared for the second half, and has had, every radio show host in Chicago filming personalized videos of them sitting on swing sets, asking for Ben Johnson to save them because they were convinced that the Cubs weren't going to get there. All of that ridiculousness that surrounds them, I think probably creates a little bit more pressure than the Brewers playing for their postseason life when they've been through that before.
And that Milwaukee Stadium, American Family Insurance, is a great park.
Great ballpark.
My son and I were there, I think the year after it opened, when he had the famous All-Star game tie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and a monsoon going on outside, but that was very early after. It still had that new stadium smell. And I've only been back a few times since, but it's a great park. It's a great fan base. Brewers have never gotten a World Series. Could be the year, but they got to get it done first. And then, of course, on the other side, you just did the Cleveland Tigers series on ESPN. Great job of play-by-play all summer, by the way. King of college baseball as you are, and all the pro stuff you've done as well. You've never sounded better, my friend.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you to say. That's only because I'm here, but that's
because I'd say it even when I was off the air talking to myself. Detroit, Cleveland, the least attention paid maybe to this series, but the little teams that could. Who's got it?
I wouldn't call Detroit a little team that could. I mean, I think that Detroit gets kind of roped into this, this cute small market story. They're not really a small market. And they also had a summer to forget, right? They had the best record in baseball by a wide margin and a 14-game lead in their division on July 8th. And since that time, the only team that won fewer games than them in the American League was the Twins, who traded 10 players at the trade deadline. So
for Herschel Walker, which was
they got Herschel Walker, but the problem is the Cowboys got all the draft picks. And
I just realized all my references are now 30 years old. I got to get off this.
Sorry, Steve, that one's almost 40. So,
is that? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But know your audience, right? So I'm with you on that. So anyway, the this is a Detroit team that's really led by the best pitcher on the planet in Tarek Skubal. And Tarek Skubal, who won the Cy Young Award last year in the American League, will win it again this year. Went to Seattle University. He is going to pitch Game 5 in Seattle, in a place that he's talked about is super important to him because that's where he really grew up. He's a kid from Kingman, Arizona, which, if you're not familiar with Arizona geography, shame on you. It's not far from the Grand Canyon. It's right on Route 66. It's kind of like the place that you stop if you want to be halfway between Phoenix and Vegas. Although it's not that far from Phoenix to Vegas, but it's this little town, and that's where he's from. But he is super amped up pitching this game. He's going to face George Kirby, who's pretty damn good in his own right for Seattle. But this is supposed to be the Mariners' year, right? They have, I think, the best roster in the American League. I think that they had the best trade deadline. They had the best finish. They ended up as the number 1 overall seed. So they're kind of in a similar position to the Brewers. And they are the only franchise in baseball that has never been to the World Series. So all of that combined with a home playoff game in one of the best environments in baseball, facing the best pitcher in the league, who they faced 3 times already this year, and Skubal pitched well in all of them, but the Mariners won all 3 of those games, including Game 2 of this division series. I just think it's going to be a super atmosphere. It's going to be really fun, and like getting a chance to see Skubal. So I did Game 1 of that division series in Cleveland. He punched out 14 guys in 7 2/3 innings. And it was like he got stronger as the game went on. The 5th, 6th, and into the 7th, he punched out 5 in a row. And it was like nobody had a chance. So there is a chance either for the Mariners to make some history. They haven't been to the LCS since 2001. Potentially keep that. There's a great rivalry actually between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, who are already into the LCS. A lot of Jays fans in the Pacific Northwest. So I think that would be cool. Those environments have been the best in baseball this year, I think. So there's a chance for that to be really cool. Or you could see the best pitcher on the planet pitch his team, basically will his team into the league championship series after a miserable second half. And then everybody can just drive back and forth between Toronto and Detroit.
Well, look, I've got Seattle, Toronto, and it's not because I lived in Detroit for the 3 longest years of my life, 1999. It was a different town then. It's a good town now. The Blue Jays are going to be sitting and waiting for a little bit. I think the Brewers get in there. It's not great news for, the buzz of the big city TV stuff anymore. I don't know how much that even matters because we're all interconnected and it's more about personalities and teams than it is about the size of your market. But if it goes my way, so that's Toronto, Seattle, and Milwaukee and the Dodgers. I think the Milwaukee Hill's hard to climb, but I'm a romantic.
Yeah,
I like a Milwaukee Seattle series. I really do.
And remember, in 2018, the Brewers and Dodgers played a great league championship series and went 7 games. And if not for an incredible Chris Taylor diving catch, there's a very good chance that the Brewers may have won that series. I mean, that play in Game 7 saved the Dodgers season. So I think I think there's a real chance of it. Listen, somebody's going to have to run the ball out of the ballpark from Milwaukee, which isn't their strength, and teams that homer win. The Cubs offense looked better the last couple of games. And I know Wrigley hasn't been the best offensive ballpark in the league this year, but it certainly was played a little bit more offensive yesterday. So I'm curious to see whether or not the Cubs bats are getting going, or if Milwaukee's pitching plan, which will be throwing a lot of different pitchers at them, is going to work. And generally, as we've seen with teams that have bullpenned in the postseason, that works because you're never facing the same guy twice. And that makes it really difficult on hitters to try and find patterns. So I think that Game 5 is going to be intense. And, those fan bases, they love each other. So it should be fun.
Yes. Yeah. The only difference is you go to it's not Packers Bears. You go to a Brewers game and they may hate the Cubs, but they're not going to mother F you outside all the way to the car because they're afraid they'll get jacked on the way to the car. There's still a healthy fear of Chicago, or at least the people who wear the blue. But I don't know. It just feels like, and you got the Euchre thing, man. You got the ghost of Bob. So maybe it's the Brewers' year. You see it differently, by the way, for your final 2?
I think the Tigers have a real advantage in Game 5 just because of Skubal. I like the Mariners roster better. I think they're a better team, but it's just like the guy just doesn't give up runs. And listen, George Kirby is really, really good too. So I mean, it's probably going to be a scoreless or 1-0 game or 2-0 game as you get into the late innings. But man, I just think it's tough to win 4 starts against Tarek Skubal over the course of a year. I think realistically, it probably doesn't happen. The National League one, man, it's just much more of a coin flip. I mean, I just, the Cubs offense has been so, I don't even want to call it inconsistent. It was non-existent for nearly 2 months. The fact that Tucker homered to center field, I always think when guys hit it out to the big part of the ballpark, it means they're on time. We kind of saw with Seiya Suzuki the last week of the season.
Sure.
That's carried over to the postseason, right? Michael Busch is still really hot. He homered again. Like I kind of feel like this is going to be the road team taking game 5 in both instances. And I did not pick the Cubs before the series started. So I feel like this is a flip for me, but I just think that I think in the end, they're going to be able to out offense Milwaukee in game 5. But,
So,
I'm not super convicted in it either.
and then moving on, then you'd probably have a Dodgers-Tigers series?
Yeah, the Dodgers starting pitching is so deep and really, really good that I think it's going to be, I think that's going to be a huge factor. It was in the Phillies series. I think we can overblow now the importance of starting pitching unless you have 3 guys who,
Well, I mean, yeah, this is this bullpen game concept, which is not brand new, obviously. It's been around for 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
But for old school guys, and I don't know if you know this, it's not just gray hair. I am old school.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment. It's an adjustment. But
Yeah.
like you said, it's tough to beat when you only see a pitcher once. And
Yeah.
if you run them out in the right order, it's tough to beat.
And that's the thing with the Dodgers, that their bullpen hasn't been very good. But they're like, we talk about the importance of starting pitching in the postseason. We always talk about it with a guy like Skubal. Well, they have a guy like Skubal, and then another guy like Skubal, and another guy like Skubal, and another guy like Skubal. They have 4 legitimate frontline starters. And so it's a little different story with LA than with most other teams that make the postseason and that have made the postseason historically. I mean, this is a little bit closer to, those Atlanta teams in the 90s in terms of how deep they are in the rotation. And how dominant their stuff is. I mean, these aren't guys that are just like, getting a whole lot of rollover groundouts to short. I mean, it is power stuff. If you've watched Shohei Ohtani pitch this year, it has been remarkable. He has been unbelievable.
He's ridiculous. He's
a freak.
He's the greatest athlete since Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He's just phenomenal. And it's an underreported story as far as I'm concerned. I know it's not in your world because you're
I think it still is. Day. Like he is probably the greatest baseball player that has ever lived.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
think about that. And I realize that sounds hyperbolic, but like he's doing things that you have to say, he haven't been done since Babe Ruth. Only he's done those things longer than Babe Ruth did. Babe Ruth stopped pitching in like 1919.
Well,
right?
Not only that, he's doing it against the modern athlete who's bigger, stronger, faster, better trained, better equipped, all of those things.
And he is too. Like he's a freak of nature athletically. He's a massive human being who can really run. He's unbelievably special. We are so lucky that we get to watch that guy play. He is
amazing,
incredible.
By the way, I think all of us, in the least to the most cynical among us, thought, well, this gambling thing, this money thing, this is going to go badly for him. But it appears it is what it is. It was just his guy taking advantage of him.
Yeah, he was he was a victim in it, and that's the way the Department of Justice treated it. This guy was stealing money from him,
right,
to try and pay off his gambling debts. And this was a guy that he trusted, who had been his interpreter and best friend when he was at the Angels and went with him to the Dodgers, right? Like this was somebody that, like, those inner circles are so small for Japanese players in large part because of the language barrier that it makes it difficult. And what it seems like, and I don't know this for a fact, but it certainly feels like from the reporting and what enough around it that Ipe Mizuhara, who was his translator with the Angels and then for a short time with the Dodgers before he got caught up in this gambling scandal where he was betting on baseball as a team employee, which is verboten still, and has gone to jail because he was using an illegal bookie for all of it and was stealing money from Shohei Ohtani. That what he was doing was he managed to kind of separate Ohtani from the rest of the team in a lot of ways because he was this conduit to the team. So he kind of isolated Ohtani. And some of the things we've heard about with the Dodgers is that he has been far more interactive with his teammates than he was with the Angels.
Yeah, wow.
And I think part of that is because of that difference. I would not be surprised if that was part of that difference. So that it really kind of it's a very sad story overall, and that this young guy who came from a different country to follow his dreams was in a lot of ways taken advantage of.
And he is smiling more. It does seem like he's having a good time.
Well, they're winning.
And boy, a happy Ohtani is dangerous as opposed to the dangerous regular Ohtani. I know you got to get on the radio, and I appreciate your time, Mike Ferrin. We'll get to the plug in a second. But I came across a list, which I love, of the great superstitions of all time. And we're right in that thing where if you're not superstitious now for your team, or if you're not superstitious as a teammate, well, when are you going to be? Tell me if you know what Jason Giambi's was.
Oh, he had the thong, right?
Not just the thong, my friend.
He
put on a gold thong whenever he was struggling as a slump buster. How about Jim Leland, the old Tigers manager?
I mean, Jim was probably just smoking another pack of heaters, but
Jim Leland, when the Tigers got hot, would wear the same pair of boxers to the ballpark until they lost, no matter how long the winning streak was. I don't know if there's an analytic for that or what the acronym would be. You know, the Wade Boggs fried chicken thing, of course.
Yep, of course.
How about Kevin Romberg? This is a name I don't even know. Indians in the 80s. Every time he got tagged while he was running the bases, he'd immediately turn around and slap the person that tagged him. Maybe that's why he wasn't in the league that long.
The Indians of the 80s probably did that to you. You really did want to slap somebody.
You know the Turk Wendell licorice thing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so Turk Wendell actually grew up with my co-host, Jim Duquette.
Okay.
So Turk had a bunch of them, right? He would leap over the foul line. He would chew licorice, and he would brush his teeth between innings. He didn't wear socks, right? I think there was black shoe polish that he would put over his shoes. He used to wave to the center fielder before every inning. That started when he and Duke were playing summer ball together, and Duke was the center fielder that he waved to. And there's a great story in there, and I can't remember if it was Jim Lefevre or who it was the Cubs manager at the time, because his nickname was Turk the Cork, right? And he said, you have a choice. You can either be known as Turk the Cork or Turk the Major League Baseball player. And Turk didn't really tone down the antics, but he got refocused, and he had a really nice career. And now he lives, I think, in Southwest Iowa, where he spends most of his time like hunting, and like he's like an accomplished like bow and arrow deer hunter. And he's just, and this is a kid from like Berkshire County, I think, not necessarily rural, but
cut from a different cloth.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
And last word is a tribute to Euchre, Bob Euchre, the great Bob Euchre, who passed away in the offseason. Did the Brewers get it done for him? Here's a couple favorites from Euchre. Baseball hasn't forgotten me. I go to all the old timers games, and it's just like the old days. I sit in the bullpen, people throw stuff at me, and I never get in. Career highlights. Euchre says, I had two. I got an intentional walk from Sandy Koufax, and I got out of a rundown against the Mets. It was a big year. And there's a million of these, obviously. But he said, I knew my career was over in 1965. My baseball card came out, no picture.
It's great.
Doesn't get any better.
I miss his stories. I miss his stories about Johnny Logan, who was his great friend who ended up working for the Brewers for years, and he always pulled pranks on him. And like, yeah, not having Uke around it sucks, because that guy was, man, one of one.
You are a bridge to the game, my friend, because you have a throwback respect for the guys that did it at the highest level, the greatest play-by-play guys of all time. And you're doing something which a lot of guys in your chair don't do now. You're interesting. You tell a good story, and you paint the picture of baseball the way it should be on the radio. And I hope it lasts for a long time.
Well, I appreciate that. And a lot of that I learned from working with you. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sitting here,
nice.
but
nice.
The fact that I got a chance to work with you for nearly a decade had a massive influence on my career, and understanding how to you were always interesting. Always. You still are interesting. So like, yeah. I would follow you around the grocery store because I think it would be a good time.
You're a good man. Thank you for that. Tell everybody what time you're on the radio.
9 to noon Central on MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM Channel 89.
And you might be talking a little bit about our new best friend, the kid we're pulling for, Orion Kerkering.
Yes, I have a feeling that today that he will be a subject. He will be one of the main characters of today's program. So.
And as a dad and now a grandfather of 3, I just want to drive to Philly, pick him up, and take him to Dairy Queen, and just tell him it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a lot of money. Make him pay for it, maybe. But you should give him a ride.
That's a great point. Yeah, you could pick it up, mint chocolate chip. Stop it already. Mike Ferrin, thank you, buddy.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Live from My Office, a service of Monkey Run Productions. All rights reserved. The podcast is hosted by Steve Cochran, and it's mixed, edited, and produced by me, Ross Cochran. Steve is available for corporate speaking gigs. He would love to MC your event, and occasionally, he's funny. Thank you for listening. Head to cochranshow.com for more.